Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 61 of Lesbian Entertainment.
Lesbian Entertainment.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
It's totally better than most things with the word entertainment in the title.
Even actual entertainment.
Yeah. Well, if they listen to this, they probably find it somewhat entertaining. Or it's your first time, and I apologize for your wasting of your time.
But, this is not entertaining. I want my money back. But it was free. Shut up.
So, hello. What have you been up to, my darling?
I've been working and stuff and things. I've been working. I'm tired. Working at the jobs. You know how it is.
Yeah, you're working like mad in order to come over here.
Yeah. Working to get monies.
I finally have an editing machine that works again.
Yay, what was wrong with it?
Long story. I gave it in on a Thursday, and then I'm not able to work on it until the Tuesday of next week, because the next day they're working something else, and then the Monday is a holiday, and they don't work on the weekends because it's just a weekday thing. So it takes them 5 days to get started. And then they spend days trying to work out what my problem was, and they couldn't recreate it. So then they decided to look on the inside, discovered I had some heat damage to my hard drive, so they had to order a new hard drive, and then get it installed, then had to get discs and stuff and information from me before they can actually do that, and then do some updating stuff. And then when it was finished, they were like, oh man, we finally worked out what your problem was, because it happened to us as well, but we need to send away for a new part to fix that as well. And that was one of the sub-fans, so they had to order that from somewhere else, and then so almost 3 weeks later, I get it back.
That wouldn't have happened if you had a PC.
Probably not, but a PC wouldn't have Final Cut.
That's true. Although if it was a PC, you could have got your brother to look at it.
This is true.
You could have winded him, and he was like, well, it's broken.
But I have it, and then when I got it, and I was like, oh man, I'm going to totally transfer footage and stuff. This is going to be great. And then it's like, where is my power thing for the camera? Oh god.
Did you leave it somewhere?
I usually leave one at Teddy's house for filming, and I had a second one, which I must have left. So, we filmed another location last time we filmed, so it must have been left there. So I went over to Teddy's house, and I got it, but I had to hang around Teddy's house for a few hours. But it brought back the power thing, got stuff transferred, and I have ordered a new backup for myself.
That's a really complicated story.
I'm sorry, it wasn't interesting.
TLDR, things and stuff happened.
Yes.
Although it doesn't really work that way, because it's not like they could skip to the end of the MP3. So, I have been being a good practice European this week. Well, the last few days anyway.
You don't need to practice.
Well, apparently I do.
Well, you don't have to, but that's okay. So why have you been a good practice European?
Well, the World Cup's been on, and I've been watching the football match, taking place on the pitch, as it were.
In the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah, it's weird because it's in Brazil, and
so it's on the wrong side of the world. It's all upside down.
I forgot that I forgot that South America sticks out the way it does, because Brazil is actually an hour ahead of Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, you just assumed it would be an hour behind or the same level as you?
Yeah, I assumed it would be Eastern Standard, or Eastern Daylight, or whatever the hell we are.
So, see, I'm just so used to being on the west, the northwest of Ireland, so pretty much we are pretty damn far across west-wise on the continent of Europe, so there's not much that is further west than us that's not America. So I'm just like, I don't even think about that. So generally, if someone else, I don't know what time zone they're in, but if they're west of me, generally they're at least 5 hours behind me. So I never have that problem really.
Well, I guess that's a safe way to assume, but it's been interesting. It's been an eye-opening experience.
What matches have you seen so far?
Let's see. I watched Spain and the Netherlands, and apparently Spain won last year. They were all like, yeah, boy. And they beat the Netherlands, who were like, oh, because I can't do a Netherlandish accent. But, so, when I started watching, it was right at the beginning, and Spain was ahead by 1. And then the Netherlands absolutely wiped the floor with Spain, and they won 5-1.
That's weird, because the Netherlands were traditionally at least a decent team. And Spain I thought were decent as well. But my knowledge of international football is very broad strokes.
Well, so the great part is that, so I'm watching ESPN because I don't have a cable box in my room, but because we have Verizon Fios, I can just stream it to my laptop Well, so I took the HDMI cable and I plugged it into the TV, so I have it, full size on the TV. And so there's commentary, but for that match at least, the commentary was two English guys. And so they spent the whole time saying, yeah, but he's done things and stuff, and well, last year, and it was really bad, and well, who's laughing now? It's not Spain, I tell you what. Because apparently, it's like it was a grudge match from last year.
Okay, here's something to know about football, at least English football commentary. They don't really get into it, however, they use a lot of insane non sequiturs, and a lot of the things they say don't actually make sense.
Well, it was really great because it started raining at one point, and they cut to, one of the teams' benches, there's Coach so-and-so. He's absolutely soaked. Oh, someone's got him a towel. I, started laughing. It was just, he's soaked. Oh, but someone's got him a towel. It's just so British.
To be fair, the guys probably don't give much of a shit about either team.
It was really great. And then I saw one of the ones last night, and I can't even, I'm so tired, I can't even remember what match I saw, but it was the last match of the day. Oh yeah, it was Australia and Chile. And Australia did not come out of it well.
That's the thing. In the World Cup, in international football, if you're not European or South American, you're fucked.
Well, I thought because they were almost British, that they would be good at it, so.
No.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they're Australian, for Christ's sake. They probably, play in, 120-degree weather with, kangaroos. I don't know.
Well, we just don't know, but they're not South American or European. But then again, being South American or European doesn't actually make you good at football. It just means that you're most likely good at football.
Oh. Well, I'm going to watch tonight. Japan is playing somewhere. And I was like, oh, Japan, they'll probably do good because the Japanese are, really meticulous about everything.
It's like, nah.
Not this?
They're not going to do great.
Does China have a team?
Yeah.
Well, I know that, Russia's playing one of the Koreas. And I was like, ooh, awkward.
Probably South. I don't imagine North Korea having a team that would make it to the World Cup.
They're probably, starving and in a concentration camp.
Every single team that has won the World Cup has either been European or South American. The first one was won in 1930 with Uruguay, and that was America's best ever showing in the World Cup, but I think they came third.
We're going to win this year. We're going to go all the way.
No, you're not.
No, Eagles. I mean, America.
You're not even going to get out of the group stage.
We will, because we play Ghana on Monday, and they're ranked 37, and we can beat them at least.
Yeah, you can beat them at least. However, only the top two go through.
Well, maybe Portugal are all drunk today. This year.
I'm sorry, honey. But think about it this way. But, England are probably going to go out as well the first round. Same as you. You're okay. You're on the same level as England. You're probably both going to come third in your groups.
Yeah, but I want to, do good and be like, aha, people in my social media who are like, yay, my country. Now I can be like, yay, my country, unironically.
Well, just imagine if the World Cup was about baseball, you would totally win because it would only...
That's because nobody plays baseball except us, Puerto Rico, and Japan, and Canada.
And Cuba.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, Cuba's pretty much us anyway.
They're like the evil twin of America.
They're like, mwahahaha.
We have facial hair.
And rum.
But, no country can be good at absolutely everything, sports-wise, unless your country has a severe grounding in it and you have good talent who are interested in going to the sport. They're not going to get it.
So many more people than every country in the world. If from all of that whole population, there's got to be good soccer players. I'm just saying.
Well, there are, but none of them are. Very few of the people are going into football. They'll much rather go into basketball or baseball or something.
Well, honey, being good at soccer doesn't automatically mean you'll be good at baseball. You have to, throw and hit and pitch and catch as well. It's not like, well, I'm generally athletic. That's like, what's his face? Who was the basketball player and was like, I'm amazing. I'm going to try baseball. Oh, wait, I'm really bad at it. Go figure.
What I mean is that people who would naturally be very good at football don't get the chance to train because America's not that into it. They don't get a chance to go into it as a profession very much.
Well, we're into it when you're a kid. The Pee Wee leagues and, the youth leagues and middle school and high school. It's, like my high school, our boys soccer team was always winning state championships. I mean,
well, it's like, imagine there was someone, I think they were a distant cousin of mine, but they somehow ended up going to an American university. They were from Scotland on a basketball scholarship, not because they were good at basketball, but because they were really, really tall and were good at aiming the ball. But here's the thing, the UK doesn't have a grounding in basketball, so his talent, which he had enough natural talent to get sent over, if the UK had a grounding in basketball, he probably would have been able to be a basketball player over here, but he doesn't. So he was lucky in the sense that he was able to go and get a scholarship for it and actually train at it. It's like, if the UK had a national basketball team, it would do shit, because it's got no backing in it, and this is why America's not very good at football. You gotta have a severe interest in the sport in the country, and you've gotta have a pool of people who are good at it and who are,
Well, see, the thing is, we are interested as a nation up until the player is the age of 18. Because I played soccer for like 2 years. I think like first grade and second grade. Because like that's basically what you did in Providence when I was a kid. And here's the thing. Watching the matches yesterday, I was shocked by how coordinated everything is. Like, you can see the guys looking at each other and saying, I'm going to do this, now I'm going to throw it back to the goalie, now I'm going to do all this kind of stuff. Because I thought that soccer was this just chaotic game where you ran around willy-nilly until it was time to go home. Because that's basically what it was when I was little. Because I was the only girl on a youth team, which meant it was co-ed, but I was the only girl that, on that team. So I never even got to touch the ball. I only got to kick the ball, like, at practice. So basically, what it was wear shin guards and feel like I have, Transformer mech armor on. Oh, running all this way? Oh, run this way. Wait, we're turning around? Run the other way. It was basically running up and down a field until halftime when someone's mom gave us all orange slices. And then run around until it was time to go home. And that was my football experience.
Your football experience might have been slightly more accurate if America took it seriously.
I know the point of the game was to get the ball in the other team's goal and to keep the ball from getting in our goal. Although once, when it was raining, I was, running back and forth with everybody else, and someone kicked the ball and it hit me in the face. And I fell down on the ground in the mud and cried. Because I was like 6.
That was a header gone wrong.
Well, I wasn't trying to hit it off my head. It just kind of, somebody was kicking it, my face was in the way.
Yeah, that's the gone wrong part. I know you want America to do well, and it would be nice if America took it seriously and was able to do well, but...
Well, I'm sure the American team takes it seriously.
Yeah, but America as a nation, when you've got a small group of people in a country who are taking its sport seriously, then you've got less chance of other people taking it seriously, less chance of people who might be naturally good at it taking it seriously.
I guess. Well, Americans who play professional football in America, they can also go and play for teams in Europe, right? Because the Spain-Netherlands game, some guy was running around doing things and stuff. And the announcers were like, oh, if there's any Manchester United fans out there, I bet they're licking their lips watching him play, knowing what could be, because apparently he just got picked up by Manchester United. And I was like, well, how is that? Oh, wait, yeah, because you can do that. You can be a foreigner.
Yeah, you're allowed to buy players from other countries, and a lot of the better American players do tend to play in foreign leagues.
Well, my friend Brenton's older brother, I can't remember if it was Kieran or O'Connell, it certainly wasn't Pat, he went over to Republic of Ireland, and he played on a team for a few years, like professionally, and got money for it. So. Yeah,
and then sometimes you get more experienced players from other countries go to America basically to spend their twilight years and make a bunch of money. That's what David Beckham did.
The twilight years, you mean like after they turn 32?
Well, yeah, in football, the average age of retirement is about the age of 30.
I know, but though you said twilight years to make it sound like they put her around with, in the garden with Mabel.
No. I don't expect America to be good at football. In the same way, I don't expect America to be good at hurley or shinty or twisting the coup.
Oh, that sounds like some kind of porn that you don't want to get caught watching.
Hurling and shinty are basically the same sport. It's a little bit like Irish men's hockey.
Oh.
Very,
Hey, the Stanley Cup just wrapped up last night. Some team won. I forget who. My dad knows because he's watching.
They're both very dangerous. They don't care about defense or pads or armor. And then Twisting the Coup is a Highland game where you have to take a dead cow and with your bare hands twist the legs off.
See, I knew it sounded like porn.
So
that's a lie. How can you let that happen, like, as a humane society?
Well, they don't kill the cow. The cow's already dead.
Yes, but that's still kind of like serial killer, kind of, you know.
Well, it's an old Highland sport, and
but who does this? Is there like an official sponsor for Twisting the Cow? And is there like, what kind of jersey do you wear? I mean, do you get to wear like splatter guards? These are questions that I need to know.
It's not done often. It's a Highland game.
If you twist the cow, write the show.
If it's a Highland game, you know, the Highland Games, they're just games and sports and things that were invented in the Highlands of Scotland, where there's very little to do except for look at mountains.
Do you play a version of Red Rover called Hadrian's Wall?
Doubt it.
Red Rover, send Tiberius over. We need another Tiberius.
They also, there's, you know, caber tossing and all as well.
I've heard of caber tossing. It's where you throw a phone, where you throw a phone pole.
Yeah, you throw a big long piece of wood. But the Twisting the Cow, I believe the record for it ever was something like 90 minutes or something to twist all the legs off.
Who thought of this?
Someone who was bored. Remember, Scotland invents random games because there's very little to do except for looking at mountains and breathing the fresh air. You know, they also invented golf, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, but the good thing about golf is that at the end of it, you can go to the clubhouse and have beer.
They also invented curling.
Oh, that's the thing that Canada plays. Yeah.
That's another Scottish sport. It's just like Scotland didn't have much to do except for killing English people, and so therefore they invented random games.
Yeah,
Very
but
random
like
games.
other countries didn't have much to do either, except, you know, Western expansion.
Yeah, that's why you invented baseball based on the European girl sport rounders.
Baseball is very manly. I'm just saying.
And you also invented basketball based on the European girl sport netball.
Basketball is that you try to tell a basketball player that they are not manly.
And you also invented...
See how far it gets you in life.
You also invented ice hockey based on the European girl sport of field hockey.
No, we've invented ice hockey off of being fucking hardcore. Have you seen hockey players? They beat the shit out of each other. They don't have any teeth left.
They're covered in armor, though.
Not a lot of armor.
That's the thing about Shinty and Hurley. They don't wear any armor at all.
Yeah, but then you guys are also inhumane bastards who mutilate cattle, so...
And the Shinty sticks, they're not actually... You don't keep the thing on the ground. It's a ball that you can pick up and scoop up and throw in the air and sort of hit it.
So it's like lacrosse hockey.
Yeah, with metal-plated bats.
Lacrosse being invented by the Native Americans, who were manly too, probably. Just saying.
Isn't lacrosse wasn't based on the South American sport where they would use a guy's head?
That's the theory anyway, but then the Iroquois played it too. And they were in like New Yorkish area.
So it's a bit like that, but everyone who involved in Hurley gets injured.
Even the spectators?
Probably.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say is my country is awesome.
Your country is allowed to be awesome.
Despite you trying to derail and strawman and sin your way to a victory, my country's awesome.
I'm not doing anything.
Sins, but also what
Is this just because you were introduced to Cinema Sins?
I've never even heard of them until people started talking about them on Facebook. People started talking about them on Twitter. And I was like, I've never heard of these guys. And everyone was like, me too. But everyone's pissed off, and I'm not sure why. And I'm like, let's roll with it.
I'm fine with it, Cinema Sins. They're not my favorite thing, but they're not my least favorite thing.
I just like to say sins and win an argument that way.
And I'd be like, I don't believe in God. Therefore, I don't believe in the concept of sin.
Sins. But anyway, so the World Cup. So one thing that I noticed, the first match that I was watching, was the two guys bonked into each other. Oh no. And the one, he fell on the ground. And he was rolling around and clutching his knee. And I'm like, oh man, they're going to have to take him out in a stretcher. Because, when someone is rolling around in pain in American football, they're going to have the trainer out there. They're going to see if they can get him up. If they can't get him up, if they have to take him, off the field in a stretcher, he might be paralyzed, you don't even know, he might have broken ribs and everything. And this guy was on the ground rolling around, holding his knee, and just, this look of anguish upon his face, just anguished. And then the ref came over, and he carded the guy that hit him. The guy that hit him was like, what? And then the guy stood up and went back to his team. And I saw this happen so many times. They fall down and they're rolling around and just Academy Award level looks of anguish and pain and agony until the other guy gets in trouble, and then they get up and walk away.
That's called taking a dive. This is what I think happens. The act of tripping someone or knocking someone over is against the rules in football. So they sort of throw themselves around on the ground to make sure the ref knows that they did not go down. They were taken down through some slightly illicit means, or if they were taken down illegal means. It was nothing
illicit because they showed a replay and the guys bonked into each other.
I know, but that's what they're trying to convince the referee. If I remember correctly, when it comes to football, replays are not admissible in the thing. The referee's decision is final, so you play for the referee and don't care about the replay.
But it's so hilarious because it's like that scene in that one episode of Beavis and Butthead from years ago where they come out of they're trying to get hit by a car so they can get money, and Beavis is like, oh god, my liver, and he's like, clutching his shoulder, and Butthead's like, no, lower, dude, and he clutches his crotch. He's like, oh, my liver. Like, that's exactly what it was like, because I saw this happen repeatedly through that and through the next match I watched, and I'm like, oh, but people crash into each other and then howl about on the ground, but no one's actually ever really hurt. And I'm like, how is this happening? Because in football, they're wearing so much padding, and people get hurt constantly.
Some people do get hurt. Some people, get paralyzed, break legs, get their careers ended, in injuries. It does happen.
Okay.
But I think that the way that they're playing, it's because in the football rules, the replay doesn't matter legally. It's the referee's decision at the time. So you play for the referee. I think that's what it is in a way.
See, that makes me want to, when I'm a European, walk around, trip over something. Like if I tripped on, a curb, and so I don't look stupid, roll around on the ground, oh, it hurts me, oh, I'm gonna sue, oh my gosh, everyone's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, but it only works in football.
But yeah, so I want us to win. So I'm gonna root for England, because you guys aren't.
Well, yes, because I'm from part of the United Kingdom and or British Isles that is not England, so therefore it is by law and tradition I have to vote for whoever England is taking on.
Yeah, but you said that if Scotland or Wales was in, then England wasn't, that they would go for Scotland or Wales.
Yes, they would.
So basically, you're giving them a finger.
Well, think about it this way: England is the big. When it comes to the British Isles, England is the big dog. England is the big one. It throws its weight around. It basically, without really realizing it, it takes all the attention. It thinks it's most important. The other ones, to a certain extent, get shit on. And so we take any opportunity we can to stick it to England. Well, England, not realizing that it throws its weight around like a slightly unknowing giant, it will sort of support us. But we're just cutting back. This was something I remember from several years ago. England and Scotland took each other on in the finale, in the final round of the Rugby World Cup, and England lost to Scotland.
Exactly how many teams how many countries play in that?
7. Not quite as many as the World Cup, but over 20.
Uh-huh.
But England and Scotland were taking each other on, and Scotland won. In the national media across the UK, there was more about how England did not win than Scotland winning. And it's that sort of shit is why the rest of the UK does not much care for England when it comes to sports, because England are always, people pay attention to England over the other ones, so we're just like, yeah, screw you, we want you to lose.
I tell you what, you guys are bastards. You're like, oh, if America came to Eurovision, we'd vote against you because you suck, and America's not going to do anything because you're horrible. We're not like that. We just don't want Russia to win.
Well, yeah, if America was in Eurovision, we would vote against you on principle.
Assholes.
En masse as a continent. This is true.
See what happens next time you want NATO air support.
But it's the same sort of thing with England. America, knowingly or unknowingly, throws its weight around, and so the small countries, any way they can to get back at you for that, we do.
Well, I don't throw my weight around at all, because being fat, I don't want to get laughed out on the internet, but...
The country does.
Well, I'm just saying. Enough of the World Cup.
But it's not taken seriously, you know?
No.
It's like, we're just like, yeah, we'll vote for the other guy. Doo-doo-doo.
Assholes.
Possibly.
See, if it wasn't copyright, we wouldn't get in trouble. I would just put in a little bit of Dennis Leary's The Asshole song.
Well, it's possible that we're being assholes. On the other hand, this is just the way we do things. And I tell you, being non-English in England, when they're having international matches, is really hilarious.
Can't you just cheer with a German accent then, so they'll think you're another one of the European assholes?
No.
Well, ask Creature to teach you how to cheer with a German accent. I'm sure he'll be up to that. Ja, gut, it's good. Go football. I don't know if anyone says go, but anyway, so enough about the World Cup, because that's all I feel like. That's all the America bashing I feel like having today.
I haven't bashed America.
You lying liar. Why are you telling lies, liar?
I didn't. I just pointed out that you don't have much of a background in that sport, so therefore you're not good at it.
Well, actually, even though I said enough about this, but I read an article the other day, because I Googled why do we call it soccer and not football, and I've read this whole history of everything, but someone said that the reason that European football isn't really popular in America is for a few reasons. And one is that it's not exciting enough. Like, you could have a 0-0 draw.
Yep.
And we like, there to be lots of points. And also, you can have a tie. We don't really do that. We want a winner. Like, if it's a tie, you go into overtime or sudden death or something like that.
America wants a golden snitch to be added to football.
Yeah, damn it. And also the fact that there's really no pauses. Like, I was watching the match yesterday, it was over 90 minutes. Mm-hmm. I was like, that was really fast. And then I realized that there was no commercial breaks except for at halftime.
Yep, that's the traditional one.
You would never be able to sell ad time during that because there's no place to put a commercial.
Yep, football is less commercially driven than American sports, a little bit.
Oh. Although I do like the idea of the World Cup because it's like the entire NFL season condensed into 1 month.
That's true.
So anyway, it's time for a story from the store. So if you're just listening to us for the very first time, you've never heard Lesbian Talk before, I have been working for a large chain bookstore for over a decade. I have seen, heard, and experienced it all, the weird, the wild, the wondrous, and the not so wondrous, and this tale is one of them. Okay, so this actually happened on Thursday night. And I really wasn't sure how to deal with this. And so the incident happened, and I went back out on the book floor, and I walked up to my friend Paul, and, Paul works in music, and I said, I've just been Larry Craig'd by a 5-year-old, and I'm not sure what to do about that. He said, Larry Craig? I said, I have a wide stance. He goes, oh, what happened? But so, I was upstairs, because I work at a 2-floor store, and I had to use the restroom, and it was slow. There's not many customers around, so I'm like, oh, well, I'm not going to go tell the manager. I'll just leave my phone at the kid's desk, and I'll run and use the bathroom. So we're in the women's restroom in the store. There are 2 stalls that are regular size, and then there's a 3rd stall that's really big, and it's for disabled folks, or it also has the changing table, if you need to change your baby's diaper there. So I don't really ever use that stall because I need it, I want it to be open in case someone who has a disability comes in, or, a mother or father, a mother needs to change the child's diaper. So I went into the 2nd stall. And like a minute later, I heard the door open and a customer come in and go into the disabled stall. And I was like, all right, well, whatever. And then I heard scrabbling. And then all of a sudden there's this little girl who is looking has gone under the partition and is looking up at me. And I was like, hi. And she went, like, out of there. Like, she didn't actually make that noise, but that was the kind of thing that happened. And I was like, okay. So then she left out of the disabled stall and went into the stall that was next to me. And then she went out of that and went away. And I was like, that was odd. So I went to go wash my hands. And this little girl is standing there at the mirror, messing about with her hair, and looks up at me and goes, again, and, like, dashes into the stall that I had been in. And I was like, what? happened here exactly? Like, was I using her favorite stall? It was just so, like, random and weird, but I didn't want to, like, engage any further in this matter. I was like, I don't really want to know what's going on, and I think my life is better that way. And I went back out the floor.
What I'm wondering about is this is an example of why America's public bathrooms really need less space around the legs. You know, one thing I've noticed in Europe, you got the doors and stuff, and the partitionings go all the way down to your ankle.
Yeah, I noticed that. It was really it felt like really private. It was really nice, especially the ones in the British Museum. Just saying.
So the ones in America, they're like to your knee if you're lucky, and it's just like, what? Are you gonna mirror the floor?
I don't know why that is. I mean, maybe it's just easier to build that way. I have no idea why it's like that. And, like, cause that's happened to me before where this is actually, I was at a rest stop, you know, on the highway. We were on this big trip somewhere. And I understand, you know, it happens if, you know, the mother has to bring little boy into the women's room. Because either he's too young to go in the men's room by himself, or, you know, what have you. And that's fine. I get that. You know, it ain't easy dealing with kids. But then this child was running around, diving under the doors. And you're like, occupied. Sorry, someone's in here. Thank you.
Yeah, it's one thing you will not have to have nightmares about happening over here.
Little children coming under the doors.
Well, if they do that, they're gonna be like the T-1000 or Mr. Fantastic or something.
Yeah, I know, but your restrooms have their own separate little issue. That being like the case of the mysterious missing toilet.
Oh yeah, where you have no backing to it, and then there's no flusher. You have like sensors and stuff.
There's like no, because we have the sensor ones. We have the handleless toilets, but no, you guys, you have no. And I know we've talked about this before in Lesbian Talk, but there's not a handle. There's just like this mysterious button in the wall, and it's not associated with the toilet at all. And it'll be just the bowl, like the tank is like hidden. I don't even know. It's like a psychological experiment. It makes me upset.
Aww.
Non-standard toilets.
But you know what there is none of in Doctor Who?
Toilets?
Yes. See that segue?
That was gold. That was brilliant.
That was amazing. Oh, actually, I'm going to do that one again just because, it was that good. Hey, do you know what reminds me of a toilet, and in that it's full of shit?
Adric? A little cocksucker.
No, cocksucker in the bad way.
Yes.
There is positive cocksuckery, and there is...
He doesn't even suck upon a male cock, like a penis. He sucks upon chickens. Like, alive chickens.
Like swinging Nando's.
We watched 4 to Midnight.
4 to Doomsday.
That's what it. Which, actually, before we say anything about it, I do want to say that as a sci-fi story, the plot was pretty okay.
It was interesting. I quite like 4 to Doomsday. It's silly though. Okay, Adric in his first season with Tom Baker's Doctor was tolerable. He really was. Did
the Fourth Doctor like tan his hide? Because I really wish that would happen. Because if they're like just like no Adric, it's just behavior.
Well, as I've read about what happened behind the scenes, Tom Baker hated Matthew Waterhouse.
Good.
And so he was very meek. But
so is the actor actually a douchebag, or was that just his character?
He was a 16-year-old who was cast to be in his favorite show.
Okay.
So he had a tendency at the time to rub other actors the wrong way, but he got on well enough with the other cast members, and he came back for commentaries and stuff, and he takes the fact that his character is so unpopular in his stride.
Doesn't he have like an actual job now, like doing something that doesn't involve acting at all?
I don't know. I haven't noticed him actually having much of a career in acting, but he could be doing theater. I think he moved to America.
Oh, there you go.
But
little bastard.
The first...
If you played Adric by the show.
His first season he was okay. Castrovalva, the first story on the Fifth Doctor, he was fine. He wasn't brilliant, but he was okay-ish. But then 4 to Doomsday is where it all went wrong.
Well, first of all, I gotta say that I feel bad for Tegan.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad for Tegan because everyone is always yelling at her except Nissa. Like the Doctor's like, shut up! Stop it! I hate you! Shut up! Adric's like, nah, woman, you suck and you're not smart. And she's like, I'm not smart, I'm just a flight attendant. Wah. And I feel bad for her. I wanted to hug her, be like, it's okay, honey. You shouldn't have been a companion, but it's alright.
Okay, what's happening in this one is the TARDIS finds itself on this spaceship that's going to Earth, and you've got a bunch of robots on board from different human beings who were taken from Earth thousands of years ago. The ship is led in charge by this giant green alien frog thing called Monarch, who thinks he's God. And we discover randomly that Tegan can speak a 10,000-year-old dialect from Aborigine because she's Australian.
I was wondering about that. Like, how do you speak the language? And she's like, he's speaking an Aboriginal language, and I'm Australian. And I wanted to say, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. But then we find out that it's like 12,000 years old. I was like, wait a second.
How offended were you by the term, which at the time was not considered to be a slur, and in the UK it's not 100% considered a slur, but it definitely is in America?
It's been considered a slur since like forever in America.
Well, our UK we have slightly different standards in different countries.
I said Chinaman, and I'm not even Asian and I was offended.
Yeah, the doctor used the term Chinaman. Well, remember in the UK, the term Oriental is perfectly polite.
It's not over here. The sets were pretty good, you know? Like, they definitely worked well with what they had. I was convinced by the sets.
I was glad to see Bert Kwok playing the leader of the Chinese guys on board, because Bert Kwok, he is, I think, possibly the only actor in the UK in between the 60s and the early 90s who was actually Chinese and would appear in everything.
There had to have been more than one. You're being facetious.
Well, there probably was, but he would turn up all the time. It was usually him or Yellowface. Remember, at the time this was made, the black and white minstrel show was being played and still on television.
That's true. But let's talk more about how awful Adric is. So there's a part where he's like struggling with Nyssa for the TARDIS key. She's like, or no, she was struggling with Tegan, and she's like, I have the key, and she wrenched it away. He's like, oh no, I fell, and like gets knocked senseless against a bulkhead, and I was like, oh my god, I need a cigarette after that. It's so good.
And he's insulting Nyssa. He's insulting Tegan for, it's like, oh, she's only a woman, and then Nissa's like, but I'm a woman too. It's like, no, you're not. You're a girl. He's
such a cockmaster, and I hate him. And also, the lead alien was like, you are so intelligent. And he's like, let me tell you all of the doctor's secrets. Let me just tell you what. And I was like, you little douchebag. And then the doctor was like, why did you totally do that? And he was like, I don't know. But this guy's gonna like, make us awesome and everything. And he's like, so are you on my side or not? He's like, oh, I guess I am, doctor. I'm like, no, he totally betrayed you. Like, I don't know, the ninth doctor would have kicked his ass for that.
Well, and so would a lot of other ones. But the
little cockmaster, it's a good thing you die.
Adric dies before the end of the season, and in the other ones he tends to have similar amounts of betraying the Doctor. Usually it's not deliberately, though. For To Doomsday totally crippled him by having him.
He sold him. He sold him out.
Yeah, but most of the times he's sort of manipulated into it or something like that.
I want to kick him until his undescended testicles are lodged in his nasal cavity. Bastard, you don't deserve to be that TARDIS. Fuck. And the fifth Doctor's like, well, I guess okay. It's too wimpy to do anything about it.
Weirdly enough, Adric was the origin for a character who did appear in New Who. There was a first...
was it that one companion who ended up screwing up and the Doctor's like, you just don't deserve it to be a companion?
Yeah, and he got a hole in his forehead, yeah. Because the first appearance of him as he first appeared in Dalek, however, the Long Game, which was the next episode, that was originally... Russell T Davies came up with the concept for that back during Tom Baker's last season of Doctor Who. And Russell T Davies, as a very fresh writer, sent the concept in, but the BBC passed on it. It was going to be an Adric and Fourth Doctor story. And then he took this concept that he'd written and he rewrote it into a full script. That's why Adam is Adric. And For To Doomsday has one of the most ridiculous bits of special effects in the entire show. For once, it's not involving a monster. It's the Doctor swimming around in space with only a helmet.
It was so bad, and then he throws the cricket ball. I was like, oh, physics don't work that way.
It totally fucked up
I
physics
kind
and
of changed
biology.
the laws of physics, Doctor.
completely fucked up biology too. Because the doctor, just give me a space helmet and my costume. I'll be fine. I'll survive for 6 minutes out there.
It's like he can survive for 6 minutes in sub-zero temperatures, but there's also the crushing vacuum.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he's got some kind of Gallifreyan.
And the last season of the Fourth Doctor and the early of the Fifth Doctor, they like to pride themselves on being the most scientifically literate period in the show's history.
They were like, robots, everyone.
You know, like the Douglas Adams bit of the Fourth Doctor likes to pride itself on being the funniest part. It's like you've got this bit, and then it's like in the middle of a Douglas Adams one, you walk into a room and the entire cast have been knifed to death by the companion who's gone insane for a second and then commits suicide. It's like a complete inversion of what that era is supposed to be attempting to do.
Yeah, I feel like they were kind of like, everyone was too hard on Tegan.
You know? Yeah, I like Tegan.
And they're like, oh, dear heart, you're just stupid. Oh.
Tegan, her first appearance was Logopolis, which was the Fourth Doctor's final adventure, and she stays with the Fifth Doctor until 2 stories before his regeneration. So she's not quite Jamie and the Second Doctor type thing, but similar length almost.
I just feel bad because, everyone was kind of like really insulting her. Even the Doctor was like, shut up, stop panicking, just shut up. But she's like, no, I've got a good reason to panic. He's like, no, I hate you, die.
Yeah, the early characterization of the Fifth Doctor is much more interesting than the later characterization where he just became vanilla and nice. In the early ones, he's a little bit spiky.
Well, I'm like, why is she your companion? Well, I guess Perry and the Sixth Doctor stayed together for a while, even though he's annoyed by her. But.
Well, she sort of ended up as the companion, not 100% because she wanted to.
Yeah, but he could have just always taken her back and got a new one.
Well, he spends the entire of that season trying to bring her back home, and then in the last episode of the season, he manages it, and she goes, but then this first adventure of the next season, they run into her again in Amsterdam, and she's just like, obviously the universe wants us to meet up, and I'll go with you, Doctor.
I saw that episode.
So now do you understand the bit in my guides where I mentioned that Adric was so unpopular that when after the character died, they released the DVD of his death, and they actually edited a new episode in there where he survived only to die even more painfully the second time?
Yes, and it wasn't enough. I'm surprised that, the Queen didn't ring up and be like, listen, we've decided that you have to kill Adric again and again and again and again. In fact, we'd like the BBC to commission an entire show where Adric dies every week. It would be like South Park, except it's not been invented yet. But I've already patented the idea because I'm the Queen. The end.
And then Big Finish did a story where they run into Adric, who is old and survived and gone insane and is a villain.
Good.
I haven't listened to that one, so I don't know if I think he probably either goes good or dies. But Adric is Doctor Who's Wesley Crusher.
Although, like I said, the rest of the episode was pretty good. I mean, there was a spot of incidental archaic racism, but.
Yeah, and they had the really interesting bit of technology where they had the robot pull his face up. Now, in previous Doctor Who ones, when they had robot doubles, they would always go to an obvious mannequin and then pull it up before.
Yeah, that was a good bit. I mean, it was obvious green screening, but it was a good bit of green screening for the time.
Well, my bit of logic for how they did it was to make it make sense in universe. Is that the face we're seeing on the robot is not actually the robot face. It's actually a projection.
Oh yeah, you could see that.
Like a holographic thing. So it was pulling it up, and then a second later the projection went because we weren't seeing it right. And then it only came back when it went down again. Even though it was clearly just green screen and the face stayed there for a second after the head went up.
Although they never really told you what the title meant. To Doomsday doesn't make much sense.
This is their 4th visit and it will be Doomsday.
Oh, okay, that's a good point. But, so enough about that because we are running up to the end of the show.
But we have to work out what we're doing next time. Because people like to know.
Yeah, we'll be the 6th Doctor, so.
Are there any 6th Doctors you haven't seen, honey?
Probably. Most of Trial of a Time Lord. But I want to watch one of those with Doctor and Perry.
Okay, well, there's Twin Dilemma, Attack of the Cybermen, Vengeance on Varos, Mark of the Rani, The Two Doctors, Time Lash, Revelation of the Daleks.
I've seen all of them. Let's do the Mark of the Rani.
Okay.
Because guess who's involved in that?
The Rani?
The Master, too. Hello, Doctor. Your hair's all curly. It's me, the Master.
So everyone, Mark of the Rani next week.
But anyway, it is that part of the show that everyone loves so much that we couldn't get rid of it even though we tried. It's Giovanni's trivia question time. And Giovanni, are you with us today?
Yeah, boss, here I am. So, as promised, before I start, I just want to let two very special people out there know that they won from last week, Super Neku and Jerkork, and they each got half of the trivia question right. Now, the question was a two-parter. It was, what does the Q in Q-tip stand for, and what were Q-tips originally called? And Jerkork knew that they were originally called baby gays. Yay. And Super Neku knew that the Q stood for quality. So, good job, you two. You're mammals that will not die someday when my people take over.
Hey, Giovanni, we had a fan write in, a guy called Mark, who basically wanted me to tell you, stop hating on us mammals, we aren't all bad, so hashtag not all mammals.
Hey, listen, I'm a mammal for a friend. You can't say I'm mammalphobic. I mean, how could you even say that? I'm hurt. Really, I am.
I can say it if I want.
But, anyway. So, today's trivia question is, and here are the rules now. I'm going to say the trivia question as soon as this goes up on Blip and you listen to it. If you know the answer, you don't use Google now. Come on, I trust y'all, no cheating. You tweet the answer at Omega, it's at the Omega Geek. If you're right, you get a shout out next show. So, the trivia question for today is, so you know a roulette wheel, you throw the ball in, red or black gets the number. What is the sum of all of the numbers on a roulette wheel?
Yeah, buy a roulette wheel and count them, and then wonder why you have no life.
So that's going to be it for me this week. So all of you out there in Internet Radio Land, I am Giovanni, and I'll see you all next week.
Well, there you go. But so anyway, that's been Lesbian Talk episode number 61. I have been the Omega, and who do you want to have been this week?
Adric.
We're getting into Force.